Ashton Jeanty on the rise as he exits his pro day. Looking pretty solid. Elected not to do a couple things. Didn't bench press, didn't do the 40, but he did some drills and he looks jacked. He looks like a monster. And everybody gathered to watch this man catch the football and prove he is the pass catching monster that your boy Smitty's been predicting him to be. I think Travion Henderson and Ashton Jeanty are the two best pass catching backs in this draft class. They are my two favorite running backs in this draft class. I like Amarian Hampton a lot. I think all three could be top 15 running backs. That's a bold statement, but this rookie running back class is very much as good as the rookie wide receiver class was last year. Last year, the wide receiver class in 2024 infected the entire top 15 wide receivers and replaced a lot of older dogs that were going to age out. And this year, the running back class is going to do the same thing. And this man pulled in 500 receiving yards in 2023, not last year. Last year, he was busy running the football on the ground to the tune of 2,600 yards and 29 touchdowns. He didn't have time to catch the ball. And people forget that the year prior, he had 500 plus receiving yards, 40 plus receptions. And he is one of the most dynamic receiving backs and most dynamic receiving or most dynamic overall running backs to ever come out of college. File on in. Russell Wilson, Diggs. We got a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about. The quarterback situation in New York. Shedeur Sanders is still on the table for the Giants. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
All right, I didn't mean to hit the phone line. Dial in a little bit. If you dial in now, I'm not answering until the intro here, the monologue is over, so I apologize for hitting that early, but the phone lines will be open here shortly. This man, Ashton Jeanty, goes out there and looks like a straight-up monster. And yes, he elected not to do the bench press. He elected not to do the 40. I don't care. Those things don't matter to me. I know what the guy's going to do when he gets on the field. And while sometimes 40 can be a big deal when you're weighing out your options, you're like, okay, this wide receiver, specifically wide receiver, is kind of like, I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. He's on even playing field with this wide receiver. And then this wide receiver that you're worried about runs a really slow 40 time. Then it can be influential, and it should be. But no one should care what Ashton Jeanty runs. You already know what he's going to do. Running the 40 can only hurt him, not really help him. And he didn't need to do the bench press. Look at how jacked the guy is. Okay, he went out there and he impressed everyone. And he pulled in footballs. And a lot of people say he didn't hurt or help his draft stock. I disagree. I think he helped his draft stock. I think everybody saw this man pulling the football like the receiving monster he can become in the National Football League. And I think the Raiders are strongly considering drafting this man at number 6. And it is kind of the going situation that we're talking about at number 6, the perceived landing spot right now for Ashton Jeanty. And it is the best landing spot, to be honest with you. I think a lot of Bears fans want the 10 pick to be the Ashton Jeanty pick, and I get that. I want Denver to trade up and be a part of this conversation before we lean to Chicago. The Ben Johnson train, I like it. Ben Johnson revamping the offensive line, not bad, but it still doesn't move it above Denver, doesn't move it above Washington. If they got crazy, I think they could look at Trey Henderson at 29 overall, and a third running back slips into the bottom of round 1. It depends how high Hampton goes. If Hampton goes 10 and Jeanty goes 6, then I think this thing ends up going in that situation. If Jeanty doesn't go 6 and the Bears get Jeanty at 10, then Hampton probably falls a little bit, and then you have Trey Henderson likely falling into round 2. It all depends on where Hampton goes and if Ben Johnson reaches on Hampton because Jeanty's gone. But I'm very excited about Jeanty's stock rising after his pro day today. proving to everybody that might have just wanted to see him catch a little more that he is every bit the monster receiving the football that anybody projected him to be, a person like me who's been touting this kid since day one. And he could be a 70 catch receiving running back at the next level. The only reason he didn't pull in very many passes when you really look at it last year was because he was busy. He was busy running for 100 yards in every single game he played in 2024 at the college level. Look at his game log, even in the postseason, 104. His first game of the year, which is at the bottom here, 267 and 6 touchdowns on the ground, 192 and 3, 127, 259 and 4, 186 and 3. He was a little busy. And while he only pulled in this 138 and 1 TD, you have to keep in mind that his career game loggers, career stats need to be pulled up, because a random Roger won't know what time it is, and that's good. That's good news for you. But he won't know that this man in a college season, a shorter season, pulled in 569, 43 receptions, and 5 tutties. This is a monster in the receiving department. And he was going for the record. He's trying to beat Barry Sanders. Look at this, 2,600 rushing yards in 2024 alone. This is not a career game log of sorts. 2601. 2601, 7 yards a pop, 29 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown, 30 total touchdown season. He didn't have time to fill this stat column, but boy, did he fill the rushing column, and boy, has he proven in previous years he can be the best receiving back in the National Football League if he wants to. This is a Jahmyr Gibbs. This is a Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, and Jeanty. These 4 running backs are going to be head-to-head every single season for who's going to be the best receiving back in the league. 70-plus receptions, 5 to 6 to maybe 700 yards receiving per season, 3 to 4 to 5 receiving touchdowns per season, 14 to 1,500 rushing yards per year on the ground with all of that work. First in the nation in yards after contact, 4.8. First in the nation in forced missed tackles per carry. First in college football in the team's percentage of the team's yardage. Second in stacked boxes. Oh, he played a small school. Oh, my God. He's not going to survive at the NFL level, Smitty. He's just not going to. He was second in FBS in stacked boxes. 100-yard games every single game. Second in the nation in yards per carry. You think whatever you want, hater. The only reason you're hating on Ashton Jeanty is because you either hated on him already and you're just pouring more bad on top of your bad take, or you just like getting coffee for people later on after the season plays out. I don't know if you got a proclivity for that, but Jeanty is going to prove any sort of weird doubter wrong. I don't even know why you would hitch your wagon to this negative doubting Jeanty situation. What would make you think that's a good idea? Take a look at him. He's a monster, and he's going to take the fantasy football industry by storm, and he's a Saturn man. I'm sorry, Jupiter.
The Jupiter men. Jupiter is so large, every planet in the solar system could fit inside it. There are no bigger monsters than the Jupiter men.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay, so here we go. Luke, thank you for the super chat. I'll get to it in a second, unless it's relevant to this. I'm a Bears fan. If they get AJ, Ashton Jeanty, I will finally draft a Bear. Been a decade since I've done that. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate the timely super chat. You are the man, the myth, the legend. Let's sit this over here. We did enough Diggs debating yesterday. We don't need to really hash that out, but I will say that there's a lot of Russell Wilson conversation and buzz going on related to Shedeur Sanders. And as I've been telling you for days, weeks, months, no matter what happens with, Russell Wilson, no matter what happens with Winston, even if they take Russell Wilson and Winston, which was a scenario that I painted a picture about, and it ended up happening that way, that they're still going to take Shedeur Sanders if he's there at number 3. And a lot of people say he won't be there at number 3. A lot of people say that the Browns are going to take Shedeur at number 2, but not your boy Smitty. And I'm not saying that I'm going to be right, because logic does not always play out in these situations, but my logic is sound. That the Browns are fully committed to this contract that is the debacle of the NFL. The worst contract in the National Football League is what we got going on here in Cleveland. And so you have the Cleveland Browns saying, we can't attach ourselves to another questionable quarterback. And Shedeur in Cleveland might not be the same Shedeur in New York. The Shedeur in Cleveland that gets Jerry Jeudy, who had a great year last year under Winston's command, but that was more Winston than it was Jeudy, I dare to say. And this team has a lot of turmoil and confusion and questions and I think just a negative vibe that Shedeur going there doesn't develop as quickly as Shedeur going to play with Malik Neighbors and be coached by Brian Dable. Okay? This is also a location, Cleveland, that Deion Sanders himself and Shedeur are not too pleased with as a landing spot. That we have heard Deion say he very much wants Shedeur to go to New York. And you had an earlier report in the offseason that said that he wouldn't allow him, Deion Sanders wouldn't allow his son Shedeur to go to New York, which we said was BS. And then Deion came out and took that down. He tore it down and said, I didn't say that. If he wants to go to New York, he wants to go to New York. Now we're being told that New York is actually Deion's favorite spot. When asked, I believe yesterday or the day before, where do you want him to go? Where do you want Shedeur Sanders, Deion, your son, to go play football? And he said, hopefully New York, the New York Giants. So we know that Deion wants his son in New York. We know that Shedeur very much likes New York. He likes a lot of places. He's hedging his bets by saying nice things whenever asked about anything. He's talked about, strange locations that he's not going to. But Shedeur's already played catch with Neighbors, bonded with Neighbors, talked about Neighbors, said how great and beautiful it'd be to throw footballs to Neighbors. Dable's going to sweet talk him and let him know, I helped develop Josh Allen. You need to come to me and play in New York. And Cleveland doesn't want to screw it up so bad because they're handling still the worst debacle and trade in NFL history. The worst trade in NFL history was for Deshaun Watson, followed by the worst contract in NFL history in Deshaun Watson. You think they want to mess around with a questionable quarterback because they can't coach him up or develop him? They just can't. Right? Not right now. Maybe later they can. Right now they can't. And you think they want to go get a quarterback that says, don't draft me? You think they want to get a quarterback where Deion Sanders is going to be making a fuss and saying, don't draft my son, he won't play for you. They can't afford to have another debacle at the quarterback position. They're not going to take him. I've said that for days. They're not going to take him. If they do, they're moronic. I can't control that. Maybe they are. They've proven that time and time again. But here's some more evidence. First of all, Adam Schefter says he believes the Giants could still draft a QB with their first pick, which is number 3 overall. They would not hesitate and secure the future of their franchise. Then down here below, citing more of Schefter, Underdog says Edge Carter, currently expected to be the number 2 overall pick. This just came out about an hour and 15 minutes ago. I clipped it about 15 minutes ago, and you can see it was fresh an hour ago. So Carter's being, and this could be smoke. Nobody knows. Telegraphing picks is not always going to happen. I've said that over and over, but we're hearing on good authority that Carter is likely their pick, and it follows the logic timeline and suggestions that I'm making of not going near a quarterback that you can't develop, has a bunch of question marks that Dable, Neighbors, in New York could probably solve, but Cleveland cannot. And he doesn't want to sign there. He doesn't want to go there. And his dad's going to put up a big stink. And you're going to have another quarterback debacle. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. They can't do it. They can't. They can't. They should. They may. I don't know. I don't think they will. I'd almost bet my life on it, but I wouldn't. No way. I can't do that. You never know. I would almost bet my life that a single one team at least would have went after Lamar Jackson when he was franchise tag with the 2 first-round tender, and I would have said, you know what? I almost put my life on the line. One team's going to say, give me some of that. Not one team did. I can't prove what these teams are going to do. Sometimes there is no logic involved at all. And that's just the way it is. But logically, this is the right move, is to not take Shedeur. So then we get back to Adam Schefter's comments about the Giants not hesitating to take Shedeur Sanders. But here's the thing. You might say, Smitty, it doesn't make any sense. They just signed Winston. They just signed Russell Wilson. Why would they go after Shedeur? Backup plans. They don't know that they're getting Shedeur. They can't afford to gamble that they go into the draft. Shedeur goes 2, Ward goes 1. They've got no quarterback or plan of attack. Their jobs are on the line. Dable, his job's on the line. Joe Scheinbach's job's on the line. So they went and got their quarterbacks. I mean, think about it this way. If you think, oh, why would they go take Shedeur and do that to Russell Wilson? Well, why did they take Russell Wilson and do that to Winston? What is the best way to predict what course of action is going to take place or the direction something's going to go? How about history? What's history tell us? Well, they just signed Winston, and then history tells us then they signed Russell and screwed Winston. Who's to say they're not going to screw Russell and Winston? And who here can close their eyes and imagine Wilson starting all year long anyway? I truly believe if they don't take Shedeur at 3, Milroe needs to be their pick later on, whether it's a move up or whatever. Milroe, I think, can be as good, if not a little better in certain spots than Shedeur. You put Milroe here at not at 3, but in the Giants, in the lineup at some point. I think he shines under Dable, throwing to Malik Neighbors. I love him, but I also love Sanders in this spot. I don't love Sanders everywhere. If Sanders went to Tennessee, I wouldn't want him. I don't think he'd develop. If Tom Brady wasn't in New England, would he have ever developed? If Kurt Warner wasn't in that Rams uniform at that right moment, at that right time, Trent Green goes down in the preseason, Kurt Warner goes and starts week 1. Kurt Warner goes out and throws an interception his first play. His OC didn't want him in there. Schottenheimer said, get out there. He's our guy. We're gonna back him no matter what. Kurt Warner lines up, throws a pick right away. First start, first play, interception. Guess what happened the second time? He never stopped. He went to the moon. The second drive, Kurt Warner never faltered really ever again on a grand scale. Kurt Warner became a legend, a Hall of Famer. And would he have he didn't even make the league through the normal route. Sanders could be great or could be horrible depending on the landing spot. Cam Ward going to Tennessee might stunt his growth. He might still overcome it, reshape the franchise. It could be like Bryce Young. Bryce Young went to Carolina, horrible spot. Stroud went to Houston, great spot. Rebuilding. Look how that ended up looking. Stroud looked great. Young looked like a bust, but Young slowly tried to rein in the team, and he started to look better than Stroud right now. So Ward and Sanders could be better than Ward, even though Ward is a lot better than Sanders based on the landing spots and support and development. But here's the thing. If Carter goes 2 like Adam Schefter in the Underdog Report, which is off of the Adam Schefter Report, really coming from one source, if Carter does go 2, then this team could look at Travis Hunter at 3. No doubt about it. They could also swap with New England, who will not take a quarterback. But New England could overpay to get Hunter, even though they know that the Giants might want Sanders anyway. They might say it's worth swapping this, that, or the other. So it's a possibility New York drafts Hunter or trades to get Sanders at 4, or drafts Sanders at 3, and the New England Patriots rejoice in taking Travis Hunter at 4, which they would be crazy and out of their minds to not take him there. And then at Jacksonville, that pick's tough to know. The Raiders, we're looking at Jeanty, hopefully. That would be the most ideal spot, at least at the way that the draft order is set up currently right now. So a lot of news around this, and Schefter kind of kicking off the Carter going number 2 and not Shedeur going number 2, and then talking about what I just said. Here's another report. The Browns, and this is per Schefter, though, again, it's all coming from the one source. The Browns are leaning toward taking star edge rusher Abdul Carter with the number 2 overall pick. That's, again, this could be rumors. Look at this guy. Look at Mr. Unlimited. Does this look like a starter to you for a whole season? No, it does not. It does not look like. Go Big Blue. Go Steelers. Broncos country, let's ride. Seattle Seahawks, let's fly. Like how many times do we gotta learn a new nickname? Does anybody think this is gonna work out? No. But here's the thing. Again, going back to what I said earlier, Dable is very, very good with quarterbacks. I know Danny Dimes and the way that the Giants have been playing has been kind of head-scratching. You say to yourself, Smitty, I thought that this Dable character was good with quarterbacks. What made him think that Danny Dimes is this guy? We don't know how much of that was Joe Scheinbach's forcing it down Dable's throat. But at the same time, got to ask yourself this question. With Danny Dimes and the combination of Locke and everything they had, that garbage carousel of quarterback play, how did Neighbors finish? Number 6 overall for all wide receivers as a rookie. Number 4 was BT. What an amazing rookie class. BT was 4. Neighbors was 6. Neighbors finishing 6 with that quarterback room is amazing. It's amazing. So imagine what it's going to be like with this guy who's better than Danny Dimes, Drew Lock, DeVito. He's better than all of them, even though we don't love him. He's not an elite quarterback. He's certainly not winning games. But when it comes to a receiver, think George Pickens getting the ball, it's not the end of the world. And also, if he doesn't play well, guess what? Guess who comes in? Our boy Winston, who we know will deliver the ball to the tune of a top 1 to 4 wide receiver for Neighbors, game in and game out for as long as Winston plays. If this guy can't win games, I don't think he can, especially in New York. I mean, this guy couldn't win in Pittsburgh. What makes you, and that's set up nicely. That's set up, you're on auto, let's make the playoffs auto style. It's like autopilot to the playoffs. Boom, go. This guy can't even win in Pittsburgh. He couldn't win in Pittsburgh with all the weapons. You think he's going to win in New York where he's got to really put it all on his arm and get that ball to Neighbors over and over and over? I don't think so. Winston might throw 30 INTs, but every INT he throws a touchdown, so we don't care. At the end of the day, this is a light years ahead of last year's QB room. The Giants QB room right now with Winston and Russell Wilson, even if Russell Wilson starts week 1, which I don't even know that he will, he's in pole position again, which can be ripped from him because he doesn't even have a kung fu grip on it. And Winston's going to come for the W's, and he's going to try and take this man's job. And he's Mr. Positive, Mr. Limited, Mr. I'll rob you out of your money. He's signing these contracts. He got paid $35 million by the Denver Broncos last year to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who paid him $1 million. The Pittsburgh Steelers paid him $1 million last year. But the Broncos, because they cut him and the guaranteed money, the dead cap, the Broncos paid this man $35 million to play football for the Steelers last year. He made $36 million, $1 million from the Steelers. This guy's been robbing teams ever since he left Seattle. You think it's going to change? No, it's not. But can he at least get the football for the amount of games he's in the lineup to Neighbors, who did amazing top 6 wide receiver numbers with garbage quarterback play? Yeah, he can. Moonball, here, go get it. Do we want moonballs all year long? No, we don't, because they're hospital balls. And we don't want Neighbors getting injured. But we got more news here. We got Giants Russell Wilson to reporters today when asked about the starting job. Russell Wilson said this to the reporters. I expect to be the starter. Go Pride. Go Steel. No. Blue? Go Big Blue. Is Big Blue or Blue? Go Big Blue. I'm sorry, I'm learning a new phrase. Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Limited. Mr. I am a traveling quarterback. I am this guy, they should make a new position. A TQB, traveling quarterback. He travels everywhere. He's not a for sure guy. He's a traveling QB, kind of like a traveling firefighter, goes to different firehouses that need their services, this week, that week. This guy should never be on a contract. He's a look at him. He's a traveler. He's a transient quarterback. This report right here is from Ian Rappaport. Says QB Russell Wilson's $10.5 million deal includes a complicated incentive package, which is what we knew was going to come out as it started to unravel the contract details. that it was very driven by whether he can get the starting job and hang on to the starting job. So half of his contract is tied up in him having success, season-long success as a starting quarterback for this New York Giants team. So his deal really is $7.5 million. $10.5 million, including a complicated incentive package that can be worth up to $7.5 million more based on a variety of playing time, performance, and playoff incentives. Also, up to $3 million is available, $176.5K per game. And that's a motivator, in a way, a demotivator for the team to start him if they don't believe in him. So what Russell Wilson has done, unfortunately, is packaged into his deal incentives for the team to bench him if they don't believe he is the guy that's going to take them where they need to go during the season or the future. He will be benched in order to save money. So I'm not worried about this at all. And what I love about it all is even in the worst case scenario where they don't draft Shedeur at 3 overall and the Giants say, you know what, we're good. We're gonna take Winston and we're going to take Russell Wilson and DeVito, walk into the season and not touch another quarterback. Worst case scenario, we get moonball Russell Wilson throwing to Neighbors and Neighbors making it work better than he did with any quarterback last year. And if Winston comes in, you've got a top 1 to 3 wide receiver per start type of production coming from Malik Neighbors because of Winston just throwing him laser lock missiles, spoon feeding him over and over and over. This is not a big deal. This is a good deal. And this incentive package, the complicated incentive package, demotivates this team from starting Russell Wilson all year long. They're in a nothing burger season. You think they're going to stick with Russell Wilson when it's costing them money per game? This was the dumbest aggressive, complicated incentive package to put into a contract with a losing team. If they're not winning, they're benching him very quickly. And the odds are he'll get benched because he's not that good of a quarterback. He can throw it. He's got a couple skills. Those moon balls are nice. They drop right into the breadbasket, and we're going to like a couple of them to Malik Neighbors. We'll do a couple. I can see it now. Nice moon ball. Oh, it's up in the air. Neighbors.
Let's go! Mashed potatoes!
Let him cook.
But that doesn't mean we won't be rooting for his benching because Winston's going to throw it into the end zone, not a moon ball to the 10-yard line. So big difference, but understand what we're talking about here. New Age Outlaw dropping a $10 hauler. Appreciate New Age coming in strong. He says, has Russell Wilson ever passed over 100 passes to one receiver? Look, Russell had a good string in Seattle. Like he was really. It's kind of like some quarterbacks that had that good run. They got injured and they never were the same. I don't know what happened. Pete Carroll was great for him. There was a moment in time where he was really a top 7 to 10 quarterback in the National Football League. But look, I mean, time passes by very quickly and things change. But okay, Vikings want JJ. Thank you for the super chat. Vikings want JJ McCarthy as their QB1, but they won't rule out further talks with Aaron Rodgers. Says Adam Schefter via this report from ESPN. This is what Diana Rossini's been saying for a long time, and I'm not saying that she's right or saying that this report's right. They've been hanging on to that report, Diana Rossini and The Athletic, for a while. And I we don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. Is there a chance there's some truth to it at the end of the day? Maybe, but it felt like they were suggesting he's going to Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't even kicked the tires even. They may have had in the hallway conversation, it seems, about Aaron Rodgers, but they haven't sat down and tried to ever talk or iron something out or do anything of the sort. So I don't know where this is still coming from. Schefter waited until an ESPN reporter talked about it because he seems like he's enemies with Diana Rossini and The Athletic, because Schefter and Rappaport will never retweet, that I can find anyway, and this is just my opinion, ever retweet or support the reports coming out of that circle. And he waits for somebody to talk about it here on ESPN to retweet it and speak about it. But at the end of the day, you know what this tells me? And I know Sick Nasty might be in the building, and we've got New Age Outlaw dropping 20 gifted memberships. BBQ's been doing it left and right. By the way, BBQ and New Age Outlaw, BBQ's been dropping loads lately, but New Age has also been doing it consistently, so I want both of them to feel the love and support. Because of the recent membership load drops that have been coming by way of BBQ lately, BBQ got us a new emoji opened up because every threshold of memberships we get, YouTube opens up one. They don't give you they're very stingy about it. They open up one emoji per like couple hundred. Sometimes the milestones are higher, like 250 gifted memberships or 200 gifted memberships. And he opened up a new one. So guess who the new emoji is by way of BBQ and New Age Outlaw helping us get there? This one right here. The Hendo, the Hendy, the Hendmeister. The Trey Henderson emoji is in the house. Drop it like it's hot in the live chat. I want to see nothing but Hendy emojis for the next 10 minutes on and off. Do it live, do it live, do it live. It looks like this if you're going to find it. Putting Hendy or Hendo made Hend too small, so we just put Hend. Do it live. Drop the Hend emoji. Hendo, Hendy, the Hendmeister. Trey, do it live. I could put Trey there. Trey would work. I could put Trey to be even a little bigger probably. But thank you for the New Age Outlaw 20 gifted membership drop you just did. Okay, so I don't know if Sick Nasty's in the building. This is gonna be a topic for him too. I don't know if this is me. Number one, here's something I'm gonna say. I'm not saying Diana Rossini is onto something because I feel like she was throwing as much mud at the wall as she could. Personally, this is my opinion. And there might be like a little seed of truth to it or whatever that the Vikings, because obviously the Vikings aren't shooting it down publicly. So we've said that there's something there, but it's not as fruitful and ready to blossom and been watered and the plant is growing. This has been a concept, not even a conversation over in Minnesota, it appears. And the Vikings are playing kind of coy with it. I don't know if they're trying to get Aaron Rodgers to make contact or whatever the hell is going on here. We don't know what's happened behind closed doors. But what I can tell you is that the Vikings haven't been shooting it down. And the Vikings not shooting it down is a problem for two reasons. Number one, it confirms that there's something, right? Because otherwise they come out and say, we don't need this publicity for around our quarterback. We don't want him thinking anything negative. But for them not to come out and shoot this down, and for them to be kicking around the idea of shelving JJ McCarthy for 1 more year is not a good sign of confidence that they believe in the kid. I also believe that it's concerning to his confidence level, period, just to have to endure this. Even if they decide to choose him, it's like dating someone that says, well, let me see if them are available. And if not, I'm going to come date you. Is that fine? Okay, hang tight. Are you free? Are you free? No, it looks like we're all lined up. You want to go steady? I just don't know what could be good about this for JJ McCarthy. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have the wherewithal to figure this out, to wrap his mind around it, to be motivated, that he doesn't have the courage to face it head on, the ability to conquer it, and the ability to make him better. I'm not saying that. But when you've got a fragile QB that is coming back from injury, and every QB coming off a disappointing year where you let your team down, even if you got hurt, it wasn't your fault. You're in your mind, if you're a good quarterback, if you're a good leader, you feel you got hurt. Doesn't matter if it's your fault. You let the team down. They drafted you to be their future, and you weren't there. And so that's a tough pill to swallow. And a quarterback's got about a 2 to 3 year window if they're being considered, utilized, where they've got to make it work or they fall behind and they can never catch back up. Trey Lance is a perfect example. And I don't want to hear a single person say Trey was a bust from Jump Street. He wasn't. He turned into a bust because Shanahan drove him into the ground. Then he got injured. You miss your window. There's no coming back from 4 or 5 year misuse or hiatus or continued injuries. You have a small window of time to keep your edge above everybody else. You barely have an edge when you come into this league to be a starter at any position. And if you take 2-3 years off, if you get injured for 2 or 3 years, your coaching staff doesn't plug you in 2 or 3 years, you lose the edge and you can never catch back up. You fall back behind and then you're on the same trajectory as everybody else and you can never get back above where you were. J.J. McCarthy was one of the top quarterbacks taken. He was a first rounder, and he had an edge over other players in the league to be a star. I'm not saying the edge is gone. I'm saying you're playing with fire. If you're the Minnesota Vikings and you shelve him for one more year for Aaron Rodgers, he better take over for Aaron Rodgers with his back against the wall, nothing to lose, and dominate in that setting without looking over his shoulder. It better go that way, or shelving him for an entire year is going to be devastating for his progression and development. It's just fact. It is what it is. And sometimes players can overcome it. Sometimes players can't. He's young enough. The line hasn't been drawn yet. But think about Josh Gordon. Think about how good Josh Gordon was. Think about how good Deshaun Watson was. Deshaun Watson got shelved for reasons that were kind of wild in some ways and understandable in others. I get that there's two different ways to look at this. It's wild because his owner is the one that shelved him. There was a time where the NFL wasn't even doing anything, and his own team is the one that put him on the bench because his owner had it out for him and was ready to let the whole place burn to the ground. So it was wild how that got taken advantage of, but at the same time, there's a lot of people who believe he should have been shelved anyway. But you have that. You have Josh Gordon. You know, you have players like Ridley who leave and then come back, and they never really can get back up above where they had the advantage. It's really hard to do. So the Vikings better tread lightly. They better hope that if Aaron Rodgers signs or another quarterback, that he gets to come in and take their place and be the savior. Because if not, he's going to enter his third season as a rookie, as a first-time starter. I know Jordan Love did it, but Jordan Love didn't do it this way. Jordan Love did it in waiting, twiddling his thumbs, learning, absorbing. Confidence wasn't shattered. He was waiting for his time to shine. This kid failed, not his fault, but he still failed. In his mind, in any good leader's mind, you failed. You got hurt. You weren't there for your team. If he fails to grab the job again this year, that is 2 consecutive years of failure for him in his mind. It's concerning. It's very concerning. And we got the gifted memberships from BBQ now, dropping 20 gifted memberships. We had the 20 gifted from New Age Outlaw. We have another $10 hauler, and I believe a $50 hauler coming in strong here. The $20 hauler, the $10 hauler is from BBQ. Says teams waiting for Rodgers are like girls waiting for the final rose on The Bachelor. Have some pride after getting dragged along. This is crazy, man. I mean, I'm a big advocate of Aaron Rodgers' right to say what he wants, do what he wants. You know, I supported him in many ways in the past just because I felt like, you know, people were meddling too much in his life. But at this point, it's like, enough's enough. You can only support someone through this drawing and lingering this, you know, these decisions out every single time. You can only support someone so much. It's time to walk away from Aaron Rodgers. I support him as a man. I think he seems like a good dude. I like to listen to him talk, to be honest. He's a very interesting guy. He's a wacko, absolute whack job, but he's interesting. And I like that. And I like that he's kind of a man's man. I appreciate Aaron Rodgers for those things, but I think I'm gonna wipe my hands clean and say I'm tired of waiting for this. You're right. It's like waiting for a rose, BBQ. It's time to give the rose to someone else. Here's the $5 hauler from Who's Your Daddy? Appreciate you, my boy, coming in strong with the super chat. Smitty, keep one. JMO, MHJ, Chase Brown, or Patty. If it's a one, already keeping Puka and Gibbs, keep one each year in this league. By the way, one last season. Love the show. The show loves you back. I'd probably say MHJ, mainly because Chase Brown's a 4th rounder in a redraft setting, right? So you have a chance to draft him back before you can draft back MHJ. You shouldn't always just keep the guy. Maybe you don't like the player. Don't keep the guy because their ADP is higher. But if you are struggling and you like all of them, you got to think about it. And this usually answers the question, which player do I have the least likelihood of drafting back? It's MHJ. He's a third rounder in redraft. So in Dynasty Keeper, he might be creeping toward the top of round 3 or the bottom of round 2. J-Mo's nowhere near that. Patty Mahomes is nowhere near that. Chase Brown is down in the 4th round in redraft, so he's at least down to the bottom of round 4, or mid to bottom in Dynasty. So you might be able to draft all these guys back if you go the course of keeping MHJ. MHJ in a keeper league too, I still think he could be a top 5 wide receiver. I truly do. He had a great year when you consider everything. $50 hauler by New Age Outlaw. Bold prediction for Sick Nasty. Tell everyone how good JJ McCarthy is. Look at New Age Outlaw dropping a bold prediction for Sick Nasty. Sick Nasty, tell us all how we're wrong. I love that you've got conviction for JJ McCarthy. I'm never mad at anybody for going against me or predicting something against what I'm saying. It's all about respect. It's all about how you do it. And Sick Nasty can come out with the biggest bold JJ McCarthy prediction he can right now, and I applaud.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
A man named New Age Outlaw. What a monster. Him and BBQ have been dropping loads on this channel over and over. And New Age Outlaw drops a $50 bold prediction, not just because he wants to take the spot, but he wants to give Sick Nasty a chance to speak his mind and defend his boy on the bold prediction board. But I don't accept this. Sick Nasty, you get one too. I want a bold prediction from both of you right now in the live chat. Drop it like it's hot right now in the live chat. I want one bold prediction from Sick Nasty. I want one bold prediction from New Age Outlaw. We're doing a 2-for-1 special on that particular super chat because you're such a monster, New Age. So drop it. JJ McCarthy, 26 TDs, 4,500 yards, 68% completion percentage. That is Sick Nasty on March 26. Wow. Okay. March 26. 3/26. Sick Nasty. JJM. 26 TDs. Was it 4,500 yards? 4,500 yards is 68%. 4,500 yards and 68%. I love the conviction. And New Age, drop your prediction and we'll put it up on the board. Thank you, Sick Nasty. And I'm sorry if some of that stung. The thing is, if you don't believe it, then it doesn't sting, right? So don't worry about me. This could be the thing. I'm going to be wrong on my best year. And maybe another analyst won't tell you this, but on my best year, I'm missing 25% of everything semi-major that I predict. I mean, I could go ahead and say, 1,000 things that are obvious, and then I'd have a huge hit rate. But we don't do that. We talk bold here. We do a lot of crazy bold predicting. On my best year, this would make me the best predictor in the history of the game. I'm going to miss 25%. I'm going to get 75% hit rate on the bigger 50-50 questions, on start bench questions that are 50-50, on bold predictions that have a lot of risk, on a prediction in January, February, March, April, May that have to endure no injuries. Like I'm gonna miss 25%. This might be one of those things. If I ever say something you don't agree with, all you got to do is say Smitty's gonna miss on a lot of things, so this is gonna be one of them. And you don't have to take it, as if it's law just because I say so. I might be wrong on tons of things. And New Age, and I got a $50 hauler from BBQ. And then New Age says, Jonathan Mingo, top 15 wide receiver. Holy smokes. This is my reaction to the Jonnu Smith prediction, by the way. I got up and walked away from the chair. Maybe I'll do that for good luck. I go, whoa, Superfish. Jonnu Smith, top 5 wide receiver. I walked away just like that, and Jonnu Smith won the prediction. So, Jonathan Mingo, the Mingo took your baby. What are we doing? Top 15 New Age, and then a $50 prediction right here. Appreciate you.
$50. Give me $50, holler. Get by the brother, Smitty. Give me $50. Oh, yeah.
Mingo, top 15 wide receiver. Mingo, top 15 wide receiver. That is a bold one, my guy. That is a bold one, my boy. That is so bold. That is so bold. So, there it is. Can you guys hear me when I went to this mic? And when I went to this, can you hear me? I think my mic's working. Okay, I just want to make sure my mic was working. Smitty is our fantasy football sensei. No other content creators have a show like this. Open discussion. You get to be a part of the sausage making in real time. Kruger, Ziggy, ADP shows. Get signed up now. Thank you. Appreciate you dropping the $50 holler, my boy BBQ. And BBQ, you just got a $50 bold prediction. And I think you owe me like 2 or 3. So you don't have to drop them all now, but you have a credit of 2 or 3 bold predictions minimum. 3, at least 3. So please drop one, and I appreciate you dropping the $50 holler. Let's open the phone lines. And Sick Nasty, if you're available, call in and talk about JJM from a positive light. I'm sure some people want to hear a positive take on it. And keep in mind that the positive take could be, I'm not trying to predict, bust or downfall or avoid JJ McCarthy. I'm merely pointing out the negatives of the way this looks like it's trending or the way that it's been trending. If they name him the starting quarterback, and he's even said they haven't named me the starter, and he's taking it like a champ. Not what you want to hear. His answer was great, but his answer was a lie. His answer was, I'm glad they didn't name me the starter because I want to earn it. And it's like, no, that's the right thing to say, and it's a great attitude. But that's really shitty for the organization. As much of a good coach and system this is, coach of the year, system's amazing, kind of shitty. Don't you think? Does anybody here disagree with me? Does Sick Nasty, do you at least agree with that? That it's kind of a crappy situation to be sitting there interviewed by reporters, being left in like a deer in the headlights. Hey, have they named you the starter? No, but I'm glad they didn't because I get to earn it. What, you haven't earned it yet? No, I haven't earned it. I mean, it's despicable. It's a kick to the nutsack. It's like your girlfriend. You're trying to date your girlfriend, and somebody asks you, has she committed to being just with you? No, but I want to earn it. Like, you don't want to earn it. You don't want to earn commitment from the team that has chosen you through the commitment of the draft, making him a very close to top of the draft selection, making him a top 15 overall pick on draft day is your commitment. That means you're starting him. And Darnold was a pit stop. Darnold's gone. And if you won't immediately hand it over to JJ McCarthy, if you're still dancing around giving him the job, it is a spit in the face. I don't care what anybody says. It's despicable. And I know it's hard to say that about a coach of the year and the system that it was, but there's some concern here. This man's being shoved out in front of reporters, and they're like, hey, are you the starter? And he's, no, I'm glad I'm not. Like, it's awful. Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
All right, let's make some sausage. The lines are open. Do it live. No pause intended. This is a aggressive environment. Call into the phone line. Drop it like it's hot. Do it live. BBQ said so. Sausage time. Make the sausage. This is how they do it in the factory here. Jaden Higgins finishes top BBQ's bold prediction. He says Jaden Higgins finishes as a top rookie wide receiver. That is bold. He's a good receiver. He's not quite in the realm of like where Justin Jefferson was, but Justin Jefferson wasn't even like the number 2 ranked wide receiver at all. He was a consensus 3-4 to most people. This is a little bit deeper, but for anybody to laugh at this, you know, there's a lot of upside. Jaden Higgins is pretty nice. Okay, so Jaden Higgins, BBQ, he says top rookie wide receiver. Let's go put this on the board. BBQ BBQ. Start down here. 326 BBQ. Jaden Higgins. Top rookie wide receiver. That's a bold one, BBQ. That's the kind of stuff that either doesn't survive, and then we're looking for anybody that lands it, period. You know, like we struggled to find even 4 people that landed their prediction, or it wins it all. So it's a nice combination to have some rough stuff. Ron Navy had like these crazy, like 7 wild ones. They were insanely. It was like Bajan would start more games than Caleb. It was there were a lot of they were good. They were funny. Superflex 0.5 tight end premium. Puka and McMillan, Jalen McMillan, or Laporta in the 1.2. That's a good one. Chat, what do you think on this one? This one's very, very, very tough. Puka, I'm very concerned about his dynasty value. I don't love it. I believe that Laporta is going to be a top 3 to 4 tight end moving forward. I think he's a steal. This is tight end premium. I'd assume you don't have a great tight end, or you wouldn't be considering this. So I'm going to go ahead and say take Laporta in the 1.2 because you're getting... I mean, look, Tyler Warren could go number 1 overall in this format, tight end premium. And you could even take him if you wanted. And you could trade Laporta or Tyler Warren for probably a wide receiver, that's maybe a step below Puka right now. But Puka's concerning. His long-term value is concerning. In tight end premium, I'm taking Hampton or Henderson, whoever's the number 2, assuming Jeanty goes 1. Or Tyler Warren goes 1, or you consider Tyler Warren in Laporta, but you'd probably have to trade one at some point. But I'd take the pick, and I'd rather have the 1.2. Okay, let's see here. Adams is going to score the TDs. Puka is a PPR machine. That is true. And like I said the other day, like he's played. How many games has he played? 26 games, I think. He's played 2 seasons. He missed some time. Played 26 games. And if I said to you, Puka, life's on the line. Puka, does he have over 10 total touchdowns on his career through 2 seasons? Or under 10? You'd probably say over. If you weren't looking at data and have it very fresh in your mind. You would say Puka's played 26 games. Puka's played 2 years. Puka's been great. He has to be over 10 touchdowns on his career in the NFL, right? No. 9. The guy's not scored 10 touchdowns over the course of his entire career so far. He's not a touchdown machine. He just really isn't. But you also have Adams in town to scoop up everything, and then you have the injury factor. Then you have the fact that he's already talking about retirement. And I know it's a ways away. I'm not an idiot. But when it's that important to you, and if you start suffering like a couple concussions, or you start getting injured, he said his top priority in life is to be active while his kids are young, and he hasn't even had them yet, and he wants to have 5 boys right off the jump, and he wants to be young, that if he starts suffering injuries or something, he could walk away earlier than 30 because his main objective is to be active with his kids, which I don't know. Like I said, is it the nice thing to hear as a father? Sure. Do we care about that from our perspectives? No. And if you want to pretend you're that good of a human being, you're lying to yourself. Because right now, I feel betrayed. I feel like Puka Nacua. I don't care about him wanting to play with his kids at 30 instead of 32. It really doesn't bother me that he could be a 32-year-old father of 5 instead of a 30-year-old father. Like I know five kids is a lot. That takes, about 6 years if you're really timely to pop out 5 kids. So if you start at 30, you're ending at 36. So I get it. But maybe you've got twins. Maybe maybe you get lucky and you got all 6 at once. Maybe 5 kids. You don't know. This Puka Nacua, he can do anything. If Puka Nacua wants to have 5 kids in one pop, he can have 5 kids in one pop. Don't sell yourself short, Puka. New Age says, do I trade Malik Neighbors for Puka and the 1.1 in Dynasty? I'd trade Neighbors for, as much as I love Neighbors, I'd trade Neighbors for Puka and the 1.1 in a millisecond, bro. Because I might draft Jeanty equally to Neighbors in Dynasty. And now I can either keep Puka and it's like the house is money, and I let the train, ride till it derails, or I trade him, and go get something else amazing. You could do that, but you smashed the hell out of that trade. That trade's the easiest trade I've ever seen, and that's somebody that loves Neighbors more than anybody. It's the easiest trade I've ever seen. Nice work. Took my mom 11 years to have 5 kids. But this is Puka Nacua. This is Puka Nacua. He's trained for this. Okay, big difference. Dylan's in the house. Dylan, I don't know what that means, Dylan. I don't think anybody's been waiting for you, but welcome anyway. Gump is on the line. Gump, I'm sorry, bro. What can I do for you, Gumpy? You're getting really good at muting and being patient. I like that about you, Gump. What can I do for you?
Well, I'll tell you who I'm going to grab in the draft, my fantasy draft this year. I'm grabbing Mr. 5'9" Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee.
I bet you are.
I like him.
Why are you breathing so heavy? Why are you breathing so heavy right now, Gump?
Oh, I just walked up to the TA to get some yum-yums. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, we'll get some yum-yums for me. And
hey, let me show you the Moon Man list.
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
No channel's been higher on Dylan Sampson than this channel, my man. The only roadblock Dylan Sampson has, the only roadblock Dylan Sampson has is that does a team put him in a position to be the starter?
Like the Dallas Cowboys, is that where he's going? Or
Well,
the Lions?
that would be great. Smitty, you didn't miss me. To be honest, Dylan, I don't remember you. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but a lot of people come through here. It's like asking the guy at the toll booth, "Hey, remember me a couple months ago when I came through and I had the 4 quarters instead of the dollar bill?" Like, Dylan, I appreciate you, Dylan, but Gump, what I was saying was, Dylan Sampson, if he goes somewhere that's cloudy, he could find his way to wiggle into the starting lineup. I truly believe he's that good. He's so good. He's remarkable. He is the best running back in this draft class at being stealth-like. And he's the best running back in this draft class at not moving, like coming to a complete stop, stopping on a dime, looking at what direction he wants to go, and then he leaps forward into that pocket in space. Like he is the Kenneth Walker of this draft class. And while Kenneth Walker struggled to stay healthy, and that sucks, we haven't seen him truly get unlocked, we can't forget how good his skill set is. Kenneth Walker's one of one in the NFL for changing directions while he's going 100%, 80% speed. He literally can be running. The best way I can describe this is this. Kenneth Walker can be going almost 100% on his step. And on the step that he's currently going 100%, he can stop on it. It's incredible. It's what Barry Sanders did, and it tears my ACL just watching it. And Dylan Sampson's the only other running back that moves like that I've seen since Kenneth Walker, and I haven't seen anybody since Barry Sanders when Kenneth Walker came into the league. And that's why I loved Walker and still do so much, is there's no one that moves like that. There's no one that can control their body in that way and not tear their knee up the moment they do it. Dylan Sampson. The other thing, Dylan Sampson is he's deceptively fast, but if you watch his film, he kind of dances around and then he goes through all these different spaces. And I've never seen a running back in college spin like he does. His spin move's unreal, but when he spins, he like leaps through. It's almost like he's playing hopscotch on the field. It's unbelievable. I love Dylan Sampson. That's why Dylan Sampson was one of the very first Moon Men on this channel. So you're preaching to the choir on Dylan Sampson, but The one negative is a lot of teams aren't talking about him. He's got to go somewhere where he can climb. He can't go be buried on the depth chart. And if he's low draft capital, which at this current moment in time, it seems like he's going to be like a day 3 guy. Hopefully not. Then he has there's little investment. So then teams, it's not always the case. I hate when people say that like 4th rounder, like Kyren Williams' draft capital is too low. The team doesn't want him. That's stupid. He's already proven himself. Once you prove yourself, it doesn't matter what your draft capital is. It doesn't matter that Corum has higher draft capital than Kyren. Kyren is McVay's golden boy. What are people thinking? It's ridiculous way of approaching things. But when you haven't seen a player prove themselves, they haven't even gotten a shot yet, and they walk in with 4th or 5th round value, that team is not committed to them at all. Which means that if they tear their
like
ACL,
Trey Benson,
like what?
Like Trey Benson that the Cardinals won't get, and they believe in conners.
No, your example's not even close, remotely close to in line. What I'm saying is when you injure yourself, okay, and you're a 4th or 5th rounder, they just move on. But if you're a 1st rounder or 2nd rounder and you tear your ACL, they're waiting for you. They've got investment in you. And so you get another shot. That's what the NFL running back position is about in the NFL. Your starting window is 4 to 6 years. That's it. You get injured, you tear your Achilles tendon, your ACL, you're putting yourself in jeopardy of keeping your job because you only have the 4 to 6 year window anyway. So that's why injury to a running back is so devastating comparatively to like a wide receiver. So you need to have like the James Robinson effect. Yeah. So you need to have good draft capital or you need to stay healthy. So if he goes somewhere, low draft capital, he can still fight his way like Kyren, get the job. Kyren started off injured too. His rookie year, he got hurt. He was a later draft pick, got injured. McVay stuck with him, gave him a shot, and now Kyren is tied for 5th in all time in the National Football League. Tied for 5th all time for touchdowns in his first 28 starts, I believe, 26 to 28 starts. He is literally in the top 5 for touchdowns, total touchdowns in the history of the NFL. Literally in the top 5 in their first 28 starts for a team. Kyren's the guy. Kyren's unbelievable. Kyren deserves our attention right now.
He's Kyren. He's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyren. He can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
All right, Gumpy, what else you got?
Oh, I was just glad you were on board with Dylan Sampson.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you're on board with Dylan Sampson. Yeah.
Oh, me and the Don were talking. Well, actually,
thanks for getting on the train, is what I should say to you.
Oh, 100% on him. I'm grabbing him at the end of my draft this year. Are you kidding me?
Boy.
I wish I was in a Dynasty league where I could grab him right now.
All you gotta do is start one, Gump. Just start one.
Well, help me. I don't know how to do all that. Shoot, I don't even know how to be a member.
I don't have time for that. Get on the Patreon. Get on the Patreon, Gump. My Patreon.
I don't know how to do all that.
Yeah, you just click the link and join the Patreon. It's pretty simple.
No, I don't know how.
You just wear your headset and that's it, right? All right.
I don't know how to do that. You could walk me through it.
No, I don't have time for that. The last thing, I don't have time to go to the post office. When I gotta mail something, I dread it. I'm like, I gotta go to the post. How do I fit that in? It takes me a week to go to the post office.
Well, it takes me 2 years to open the mail.
All right. All right, Gump. Anything else?
All right, thanks.
Appreciate you, bro. Call back if you got another one. Gump to the moon. Gump to the moon. Phone lines are open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dynasty, would you trade JSN Chase Brown for Mahomes, a 4th, a 5th, and a 26th second? First of all, 4th rookie pick, I could give a crap about 4th and 5th rookie picks, if that's rookie picks. If it's like a vet and it's not really a dynasty league, it's more of like a keeper league or something, that's different. But 4th and 5th round rookie picks, I crap those. Let's see here. We got So at the end of the day, your trade, JSN, Chase Brown for Mahomes, if it's a 1 QB, like I don't have all the information here. See, you didn't tell me it's Superflex until right now, Dylan. So how the hell am I supposed to know how valuable Mahomes is? Maybe I do remember you, Dylan. Not giving me proper information and wasting my time. Mahomes in a Superflex is worth more than probably JSN and Chase Brown. In a 1 QB is nowhere near as Mahomes worth it. But in a Superflex, probably. Depends on your QBs though and all that. You don't have to apologize, Dylan, for being you, okay? We appreciate you for who you are. Just because you got yelled at doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with what you did. This is my resting face, as we all know. I know you don't like old injured wide receivers, but what are your thoughts on Godwin and Debo going into their next year and forward from there? Look, I love Godwin. Godwin's not that old. I don't like 32-year-old wide receivers that are coming off torn ACLs, if we're referring to Diggs, because that's where I think that you mentioned that. Godwin is what, 28? Ziggy, how old is Chris Godwin? 28?
Chris Godwin is 29 years old.
29.
February 27th.
He just turned 29. That's right. 29. So 29, 30, and I'm kind of worried about him at 31. So that's 2 years. So do I like it? Depends on the scenario. If you can win now, I like it. If redraft, I love Chris Godwin. 29 years old doesn't scare me in redraft. Do I like him in Dynasty? Not really. I don't want to acquire a 29-year-old wide receiver that's got an injury history in Dynasty, but I love Godwin in redraft, and his value is going to keep climbing. Ziggy, how old is Debo Samuel?
Debo Samuel Sr. is 29 years old and was born on January 15th.
So same age, almost exactly. He just turned 29 as well. Do I like him in Dynasty? I kind of do, because he's cheap as hell. People already think he's cooked. So you can get him for like a third rounder, second. I don't care about second rounders. If it's a mid to late second rounder, I'll throw those at Godwin or Debo. Get Godwin and Debo, Evan Ingram on my team using second rounders. Are you kidding me? Bigsby, go get him for a second rounder. They love using second rounders like they're better than they are. But would I trade, even if I knew Debo was retiring after next year, would I trade a late second rounder for him? Absolutely, because he can help me win now. But 29, Debo's got 1 to 2 more good years left. Do I love him in Dynasty? No. Do I draft him in Dynasty? Yeah. At certain spots, if I've got a team that needs a couple vets, yeah. But, in redraft, I love Debo this year. Debo in redraft, I love him. JD5 is going to remotivate him. He's remotivated already just being in Washington. He's back with Adam Peters. Godwin and Debo are fantastic in 2025. That's what I can tell you. In terms of Dynasty, whole different discussion. But I don't hate 29-year-old wide receivers in redraft. 30-year-old wide receivers, I'm a little more worried about. Rather have Godwin than Debo. I can understand that, Huff. I get it. All right, what else we got? Dial in. Do it live. Let's ask Kruger a couple questions. Hey, Kruger. Ashton Jeanty had his pro day today, and he didn't bench press. He didn't do the 40. Sometimes people look down on those things. I do not, because we already know his abilities and skills. He proved it in college. 2,600 yards rushing last year alone, 29 rushing touchdowns last year alone. How many did Barry Sanders have? What was Barry Sanders' record-breaking season yardage and touchdowns?
Barry Sanders had an incredible 1988 season at Oklahoma State. He rushed for 2,628 yards and scored 37 rushing touchdowns.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No worries, just finishing up. Barry's record-breaking season also included a Heisman Trophy win. Sanders' numbers were phenomenal, and they still stand out as one of the best single-season performances in college football history.
37 is crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. But anyway, what I was saying, Krug, is that I love these doubters of Jeanty. People saying, oh, he didn't run his 40 or whatever, or hit small school, bad competition. Jeanty he played against the most stacked boxes out of anybody in college football except for one person.
Absolutely. Ashton Jeanty's ability to perform despite those stacked boxes speaks volumes. The doubters often miss the context, right? He's shown he can handle adversity and still put up massive numbers. Plus, his versatility is impressive. Do you think these doubts will affect his draft stock much?
Absolutely not. He's going to the Raiders at 6. Kruger, do it live.
I love the confidence, Smitty. Raiders at 6 would be a bold move, but they could definitely use a player with Jeanty's skill set. Doing it live. Let's see if the Raiders make that splash.
Okay, thank you, Kruger. Appreciate you. Okay, I got a phone call here from, where are you calling from? You're calling from 715. What's your name, 715? You're live on the show.
Yeah, just call me the Outlaw. New Age.
This is New Age?
Yeah.
What's up, my boy? New Age. Hey,
not much. I just decided to call in.
I appreciate you, pal.
My question is on Penix. I'm big on Penix. Are any of these rookies coming out? Can they even compete with Penix?
That's a great question, because the question you're asking a Cam Ward supporter would be like, "You're out of your mind. Like Penix Jr. is nothing, you know." But the truth is, Penix Jr. is in as good a position as anybody, you know, but JD5, but, you know, that's still debatable. You know, look at Stroud in his second year. Like, look how good Stroud was his rookie year. Like, wouldn't you almost say there was nothing that you could have imagined to go wrong for him, right? He got an additional receiver in Stephon Diggs. Tank Dell was going to break out. Nico's Mr. Consistent. Mixon, we didn't even think Mixon would play as good as he did, and Mixon played amazing for the majority of the year, and Stroud was awful. So you just don't know. You know, I'm not saying JD5 has a sophomore slump at all. I'm just saying, like, so many things could happen. Penix could be as good as JD5, and JD5 not miss a step. It's just Penix Jr. takes a big step forward. I love Penix Jr., as you know, and I was so high on him walking into, not out of, not well after, walking into the national championship game that if you remember, I did a live stream like an hour before the game started, leading into kickoff and into part of the game. And I said, this is going to be, I believe he was my first Moon Man. I said, I want him on the Moon Man list for 2024 before a single person talks him up. He's going into the national championship game. Everybody doubts him. And he went out and had a bad game. And I remember coming into the live stream that night and people were like, well, there goes that experiment. I'm like, no, this was one game. This was the national championship against the best defense in college football. Michigan was unbelievable on defense. And Penix Jr. was throwing good balls. Adunze went the wrong way on one of the routes, and he just threw it, and it looked like he threw it to nobody. And Adunze later said, that one was for me, and I would have caught that. That play alone, that one play I'm speaking of, would have changed maybe the course of the game or the direction or the comeback or whatever. But, bro, I was on the Penix Jr. train even then when it was the lowest. After that national championship game, people said he didn't deserve to be a first rounder because people are fickle. I love Penix Jr., his ability to run that he never displayed in his last 2 years in college to keep himself healthy. His weaponry is as good as anybody's. You're talking about Hurts looking amazing with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Barkley, offensive line, great defensive play. Hurts looks like a top 5 NFL QB. Without one or two of those pieces, you start getting a little bit more of a shaky Jalen Hurts. Penix Jr., to me, is a true gunslinger, a true, elite potential quarterback, and he has the same weaponry that makes Jalen Hurts look untouchable right now. Looks unstoppable. He looks like a top 5 quarterback, and he does, and he's playing there, and you can't separate situation from player. So right now, Jalen Hurts, who we know is a better fantasy quarterback than he is real quarterback, just in general, I'm not saying off by much, but we know that's the one discrepancy QB that we can find, whereas Joe Burrow, he ranks kind of the same in NFL quarterback play as he does fantasy. Everybody's kind of the same, except for Hurts is that guy that has a little bit of a discrepancy. But right now, given how good both sides of the ball are for the Eagles, those two things are lined up right now. Penix Jr. has every bit of the talent that, maybe not on defense yet, but that Jalen Hurts has or that anybody else has. And he's got the arm talent. So I can't wait. I think if you threw Penix Jr. into this draft class, you'd still have doubters because they didn't believe in him last year. So it's a tough question to answer. Am I answering from a perspective, from a prospect standpoint, or am I saying what we know now out of Penix Jr. versus what we think we know as a prospect for Cam Ward? Because he'd go over Shedeur, but I don't think as a prospect people would have liked him more than Cam. Doesn't mean he's not going to be better than Cam.
Okay, because I want to see what his upside is. Right now, I got him easily over Love, and I love Love, you know. But
yeah.
I just want to see how high he can go. Right now, he's top of the notch in my books. He's my number one drafted player, and I want to see how high he can go. I think he's equal or even a little bit higher than Kyler.
Yeah, I could totally get behind that. I think Kyler is one of the most athletic quarterbacks, or shall I say, Kyler is one of the most athletic players in the National Football League. But that doesn't mean he's one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. AR5 is one of the most athletic players to ever enter the NFL. But AR5 is not a good quarterback right now. I'm not saying he can't bounce back. Look at Bryce Young. If anybody thinks that, and I'm not saying I'm hitching my wagon to AR5 again this year. But if anybody thinks that AR5 is for sure done, just look at Bryce Young. Just look at Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. So there's still hope. I'm not saying that it's a good hope. But Kyler is not an elite quarterback. Kyler is an elite athlete. Kyler can play like an elite quarterback, but not consistently. That's why I don't like him here in Arizona, and I'm a Cardinal fan. But Penix Jr. easily could be better than Kyler from a football and fantasy perspective this year. Penix Jr. could be higher than Dak. He could be higher than every quarterback but, let's say, Josh Allen, JD5, Hurts, and Burrow, and Lamar. I think I'm not saying I rank them next. I'm just saying I wouldn't even bat an eye. I wouldn't even be shocked even a little bit if he was anybody's next QB. I'm not saying you take him there. I'm not saying you expect that. I'm just saying at the end of the day, after those quarterbacks I just named, Lamar, Burrow, and I think Mahomes is going to get there again. I just think people are really touchy on him right now. So, but you got Burrow, you got Lamar, you got Hurts, you got JD5, and you got Josh Allen, and then you got Mahomes, Penix Jr., Dak Prescott, a plethora of other quarterbacks, but I would not be shocked if he was 6 or 7, which is unbelievable.
Okay, who would you rather have in Dynasty here? Would you? Because I got Love right now, and I'm looking. I got the number 2 pick, and Superfish. I'm thinking about seeing if I can get Penix with the number 2 pick, but I also got Fields, so I'm trying to figure out which 2 I should go with. Should I try to get Penix and trade Love? And keep Fields.
So trade Jordan Love for Penix Jr. straight up?
No. I got the number 2 pick, so I'm assuming I got a lot of drafts this year in Dynasty.
The number 2 rookie pick. I mean, that's a big give. I don't think I can give up Hampton unless is it a super flex? Did you say?
You can use 2 QB. It's kind of a different league. You can use 2 QB.
Okay, so super flex. The thing is, Jordan Love can still be good enough that I want Hampton and Jordan Love probably over Penix Jr. That's a huge piece to give up, bro. That is a very massive, part.
Okay, so you feel I'm 100% running with confidence with Fields. I'm just all in on him this year.
Yeah, I'd rather have Fields and Love and Henderson might be mine too, actually. But I think to get a point across to people, I use Hampton until Henderson takes that from him. But
Well, I'm a big Hampton guy, so. Just because I think he can set the most touchdowns. I'm just more on his side.
Can you give up and it sounds crazy to some, but remember it's Superflex. Can't you give up like a 27 first rounder for Penix and just say, you know what, my team's going to be good, the pick's going to be bad. Like, I'd rather do that than give up the 1.2.
Yeah, but it's hard to make them changes with the Queen Fish. because she's one that got him. So
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't trade that 2 pick though. You know, Fields and Love could suffice. I love Penix Jr., but there's still you don't want to buy Penix Jr. at value that he's not currently ranked at, because Penix Jr. right now should be in Love and Kyler, that realm. You know, you start looking outside of that realm, then you're overvaluing him. Not because I'm saying that I don't believe in him to be that good, but you can't go buying Bucky Irving at 4 overall in a startup draft because he goes in round 2. You know, so you can't trade for Penix Jr. at value he hasn't earned yet, or you're giving the advantage away. I love Bucky. I think Bucky could be a top 5 running back with ease this year, but I would never draft him in round 1 ever. Doesn't matter. Like, some people will come in and go, you got to get your guy. No, you don't. You can't draft a guy that goes at the end of round 2 at 5 overall. You don't do it. Create another league. That's you start taking those kinds of risks, and that's how you easily lose. You gotta play within the confines of the ADP within reason. That's not within reason. That's insanity. If you're gonna take Bucky at 14 instead of 19, well, he's still a 2nd round pick. That's fine. But, like, you know what I'm saying? So Penix Jr., you're almost doing the equivalent with Penix Jr. to get rid of the 1.2 Hampton or Henderson and give up Jordan Love, who's in the same wheelhouse right now as Penix Jr. to the rest of the world. You're literally handing them, in a lot of people's eyes, a free 1.2, and people would be pissed. And I don't care what people think, but I'm just trying to give you a perception of how bad the trade would be.
okay, yeah, I got no running backs anyways. I'm cleaning house and just kind of redoing. I got 2 picks in every round, so.
Yeah, got quarterbacks I like. If you're looking for another one, Dak Prescott's very undervalued in Dynasty. I like him a lot in Dynasty. You know, that would be one.
Okay, well,
I would try and give up other things, but it might be hard because if it's a league that has, you know, the Fantasy Football Show viewers, they're very high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to, it might be just one of those leagues where you don't get Penix Jr. because you're going to have to overpay, and you don't want to do that. Hey, okay. Any final questions? And by the way, I appreciate you, New Age, dropping all the gifted memberships. This is New Age Outlaw on the phone right now. He's responsible for a lot of your gifted memberships. Can't thank you enough. You and BBQ are staples in here. Appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, it's been a long journey. It's been years and years, man. I just finally started talking and get more active, so.
Well, we like it.
I got one last question here.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Who does everybody think, or what's Jacksonville going to draft in the draft?
That's
I'm
great.
Confused on what they're going to go for.
Great question. I don't know that I could imagine it being a defensive piece. There's some that think they could take Ted McMillan just to really support, you know, not letting Trevor Lawrence break. Like, he's a vulnerable quarterback right now, and they've got a lot of money invested in him. And they don't necessarily have the best wide receiver room after Tet or after BT. So that would be complicated for BT's value. I'm not saying that it would drive it, you know, into oblivion, but it certainly would hurt him a little bit just because Tet's a pretty big name. But I think Tet going to Jacksonville would stun his growth, and he would never really truly become an elite player there. And I think that BT would just dominate him. But I think it could be a good move for Jacksonville, but it would not be a good move for Ted McMillan developing into a low-end wide receiver 1. I think Ted McMillan is not an elite player. I think he's a very good player that could be T. Higgins, which is a good player. I mean, T. Higgins is getting drafted in the 2nd round right now in a lot of drafts. So it's not a kick to the ego to say, hey, you're going to only be T. Higgins. That's pretty good. But I think that Travis Hunter has the ability to be a top 12 overall player. He also has the ability to be a bottom outside the top 40 player because he could not get used. Like that risk does exist. I've never said that it doesn't. I just think it's hilarious when people think that that risk isn't worth it at 100 overall in a redraft right now, or 90 overall, or, you know, in a dynasty, well past the top 5. He goes in the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 territory. Travis Hunter is zero risk even in Dynasty when you really think about it. And some people, when they do their Dynasty content and shovel the garbage out there, they sometimes don't even rank him. They just say, if he ends up being a receiver, we'll put him back in. Like, they're just scared to even talk about him. So he does have very good Dynasty value right now because people are scared to death of him. So I think that Ted McMillan's the number 2 receiver. I like him a lot. He's T. Higgins, but Travis Hunter is light years ahead of him.
Could Jacksonville go tight end, or is that too high up?
Well, Tyler Warren could easily go number 5. He could easily go 4. He could go to the Patriots.
Okay, I didn't know how high they were going to probably draft on them.
He's good. He's really good. Loveland could go top 15 too, though. But I don't think he's as good as Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I hear you. Tyler Warren's like Taysom Hill in my books. He can do everything.
All right, my boy. I appreciate you.
All right. Yep. Talk to you later, bud.
New Age in the building. All right, call him more often, bro. Can you call him more often?
All right, I will.
I'm going to plug you.
I'm driving this big rig, so.
Well, you're like Gump. You're driving.
Yep.
You're driving like Gump. Do you ever haul cereal like Gump does on the regular?
No, I'm potatoes and flowers, boy.
That we need that. You're doing God's work out there, man. Appreciate your hard work there and your hard work on the channel. And since we know you're driving around more, we need more calls from you, bro. You need to get into a headset like Gump.
Oh, I got the headsets. I got a couple for good times.
Can we hear it? Can we hear a horn pull?
Well, everybody's sleeping, man.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can get one here.
No. Don't worry. I don't want you.
Oh, I just woke up. The hell with them. I just screamed Ashton Jeanty up right out loud.
I don't want you to get in trouble.
Voicemail.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, New Age. Appreciate you. Later.
All right. Later on.
Yeah, that's New Age Outlaw, everybody. New Age is the man, the myth, the legend. So happy to hear from him. Let me get him into the phone line here. Make sure I got New Age. All right, I got New Age added to the system here. All right, I think that's all for today. We got BBQ with the super chat here. BBQ says auction keeper league 1 QB keep 3. JD5 $17. Boom. JSN $14. Boom. Wow, damn it. You got Puka and JT now. BBQ, what's the purse size? 200? What's the purse size? You almost have to let JSN go. You can draft JSN back. I know you'll pay a little more, but you can easily get him back. You keep JT, you keep Puka, you keep JD5. JD5, because that value is good for JD5. You could always keep JSN and trying to get JD5 back. $200. Because that's not super expensive, but it's a high dollar amount. But it's good. It's good. It's pretty solid. I'd take JD5, JT, and Puka Nacua. Does the chat agree? Yeah. The thing is, New Age. New Age, you're still listening. My boss horn's louder than your horn. I almost guarantee it. It's not a knock on yours. It's just mine. Mine is a heavy duty 4-trumpet system that made people stop watching the channel apparently for a little bit of time, and I had to stop using it. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, and then when people kept coming in droves saying Smitty, I had to stop watching the show at night, and I had to watch it later on, and because I would be sleeping with the missus, and even on a low volume, that horn would toot, and it would toot loudly. The 4-trumpet system. $2 holler from Kevin. If Gump's Beetlejuice, then Danny is Gary. No, Denny, you mean? Denny's Bob, not Baba Booey. Denny is Stuttering John, or maybe he's High Pitch Eric. I think Gary's way too normal. Gary's kind of like, no offense, Travis, if you're watching, but like Travis is the Gary. I'm the Howard. Travis is the Gary. I don't know who Robin is. I'd say Robin on this show is probably I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Fred is probably BBQ. Robin is probably Draven. Draven's Robin. And then Beetlejuice. Yeah, Beetlejuice is definitely Gump. Appreciate you, Kevin, dropping the super chat. We got one more super chat, and then I think we're out of here. I'll probably be back tonight on some level, whether it be Dynasty Show. Make sure you subscribe to the Dynasty channel. The link's in the description. Dynasty tight end premium. Tight end premium, Garrett Wilson for Bowers. Bowers and landslide. You know, like in a one QB, or sorry, a non-tight end premium 1 QB, Garrett Wilson goes probably in a dynasty, probably like 3.1 to 3.12, like in that range. Brock Bowers goes 15 or higher in a 1 QB non-tight end premium, my boy. You put Bowers in a tight end premium situation, he goes in bottom of round 1 or at least the first round and second round turn. So Bowers by a country mother freaking mile, and it's not even close. In fact, if you sent this to him, if I was him, I'd be sending you this.
You are offer sex. You are trade offer sex.
And if you pull this trade off, I have got no choice.
King 25, code 428. Dispatch Vito Popo. Popo has been dispatched. King 25 out.
Yeah. His name is TH. He's very, very like under the radar. Like doesn't even put a name in his YouTube channel. It just says TH. And he stole Brock Bowers using Bowers. No, you haven't know the half of it. It's tight end premium. Okay, you don't have to yell. Yeah, I'll try and keep him here. You got a good 5 minutes before he probably bails. Hey, TH, you better get out of here. The Vito Popo are coming. And I don't even believe in Vito Police. I don't think there should be any videos. But that one's destroying the league. All right. Appreciate you all. Yeah, it is an honor to be Baba Booey, if you're Travis. Who's Ron? Ron is, maybe Ron is High Pitch Eric. What do we got here? What am I going to leave on? Well, first of all, let's get Bucky. Let's take a Bucky bath.
Get buckied. Buckied.
Vampy! My boy Vampy. Appreciate you, Vampy. Thank you.
Buckied. Oh, Bucky.
Yeah.
There are handfuls of Saturn, Mars, and Moon men, but only 8 can be supernovas. I give you the 8 best picks in fantasy football.
They are the 8 supernovas. They are the 8 supernovas. The hateful 8 supernovas. I'm looking at the 8 supernovas. The magnificent 8.
Liftoff of mission 41D, the first flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Yes, Ron is definitely Artie. Good job there, Kingdom. Ron is Artie. All right. Thank you, BBQ. BBQ says tonight's sausage making Friday night is bruschetta palooza. Appreciate you. Bruschetta palooza sounds good. Later, Silver Rapture in the building. One of the longest running watchers of this channel. Silver Rapture was in the top, I believe, 5 overall of first watchers. Silver to the moon. BBQ to the moon. New Age to the moon. Thank you to all my super chatters. We'll see you all later. Thank you, Luke H, for the super chat. Thank you, New Age, for the super chat. BBQ, New Age again. The bold prediction. Who's your daddy? BBQ again. BBQ again. Navage. New Age again. BBQ again. Kevin and TH. Appreciate the super chat. See you all later. Probably back tonight. Make sure you subscribe to the Dynasty channel in case that's what I end up going live on. Thank you, Vampy. Thank you, Mods. Blackbeard. Space Ricky. Sick Nasty. Travis, a.k.a. Baba Booey. Vampy. Kenny Powers. DeBalt. And Terry Roberts. I think I got all the mods. Did I get all the mods? All right, later.